Welcome to the Three-Man Weave Show, hosted by sportsbookreview.com. College basketball is in the spotlight. The tournament is here. It is March, and we are excited. SBR Sports Picks, that's the YouTube channel you guys are watching. Hit the like button. Give us some love. Give SBR some love. Subscribe to the channel. Do all that good stuff. And check out sbrpicks.com/March-Madness to really immerse yourself in the most wonderful month of the year, guys, which, of course, is March. Jim, you happy to be here? You happy to talk about first four today? These games tip off on Thursday. We're going to run through all of them. Jim, what's up? How you doing?
No, I'm grumpy. This stinks. I hate it. I wish we didn't have a tournament. Ha! What a joke. Yeah, I'm so pumped to be here, Ky. It is great to be talking hoops. Man, there's a lot to get to. Maybe not so much today, but this next couple of days, boy, it's packed, Ky.
It's wonderful. And Matthew, by the way, T's and P's to Archie Miller. The chat mentioned that. Sorry.
No, I think it was a long time coming. At least it had been the last year and a half. I think most Indiana fans are excited for a new chapter. Sort of a bad luck when you have a pool of money that was compiled to cover the $10 million buyout. But when rich people want something done, they usually can make that happen. And
you saw it was not a pool of money assembled. It was one donor who paid the $10 million buyout.
I thought there was a few guys that chipped in. It was literally one guy. Okay.
One guy. And a second guy is paying for the next head coach.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take care of this buyout. You get the next one. And then when he gets fired, you got that buyout. There's
it's like a round of, it's like a round of drinks. They're treating it like a round of drinks.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll save this for our offseason banter. But for now, let's talk about actual games. Quick reminder on scheduling. Today, it's first four. Also going to hit a couple NIT questions right at the end. Jim's more of the NIT guy this year than Matt and I.
Sure am.
You're more qualified this season. Frankly, I ignore the tournament every single year. On Wednesday, tomorrow, guys, we'll be talking Friday games, Friday first-round matchups, digging through all of those. And then Thursday, we will be hitting the Saturday matchups. That is our schedule. Let's jump in. First four, here we go. Let's start with Norfolk State versus Appalachian State. The Mountaineers, a 3-point favorite. It actually opened, Matthew, at -1.5 at Circa. And you pounced on that right away. -2 most other places, including Chris. Now up to -3. Guys, App State, I am very impressed with them. I love their run in the Sun Belt. I love their trio of guards, Justin Forrest, Adrian Delph, Michael Almanesi. I probably pronounced his name a little bit wrong. Jim, do you have an early lean in this one? I did write this preview for our site, but I'll let you guys kind of get a couple cracks in real quick.
Yeah, well, first of all, Ky, I'm hoping a loyal chat mobber will go back and edit the clip of you saying, I pretty much ignore the tournament every year and not acknowledge that it's the NIT.
Yes.
Take that out of context. I love that idea.
The NIT tournament.
Yeah, there you go. No, this matchup, Ky, kind of agree with you. It feels weird to have a Sun Belt team in the play-in game. It's just kind of like too good of a conference. But Appalachian State's metrics and numbers really put them down in that range. They, like a lot of teams, struggled with COVID this year, which I think kind of makes them undervalued at this point. The run through the Sun Belt, maybe a little closer to who they truly are. And Ky, you mentioned the big thing to hit on with them is the shot-making trio. I think it's Almanesi, but I'm not entirely positive.
Yeah, that was my legend. I know names, pronunciations pretty well, so that's what the phonetics tell me.
That's why we have you on the show. I mean, you're just our pronunciation guy.
You are.
No, I think they'll hit shots. Norfolk State goes zone sometimes, kind of tries to mix up defenses, but Appalachian State very well coached with Kearns, won't be phased by that. I was hoping that it would dip below the 3, Ky, and get -2.5, but I'm leaning towards 3. Probably going to sit on it for another day or so, or jump in on 3 if I start to see it go up, Matthew.
Yep, I got the early line. Thank you, Circa, for posting those openers. I still would endorse it up to -3. The early team has the right side. I think 3 is kind of a key number. It's short. You mentioned the zone wrinkle for Norfolk really bothered Morgan State in that MEAC title game. They couldn't really get into a rhythm. App State, now I'm not sure what their zone metrics say, but I know for a fact Michael Almanesi, as the pronunciation czar here, I will solidify that as the official way to say that. It's 23s he made in the 4-game span to carry the Mountaineers to that improbable Sun Belt title run. I just think that shot-making confidence will carry forward against a matchup that will allow them to get open looks, get their feet set, knock down some shots. So, yeah, I just think this opening spread as well did not really reflect, as you mentioned, Ky, that imbalance in conference level, right? I mean, this is
right.
Jim. I think you mentioned this. It's a Sun Belt team versus a MEAC team. Just pound for pound, there are two different tiers, and I think the early opener at -2 didn't quite reflect that.
Yeah, Norfolk, an aggressive 2-3 zone in the half court. I mean, they'll get out and pressure you out to the line. App State, Matt, hasn't been great against zones this year. They haven't seen a whole lot of it though. It's pretty small sample size. Coastal Carolina, they played in the Sun Belt tournament, throws out those junk zones. They couldn't score inside really at all against Coastal. They're actually pretty brutal, but they shot well enough, and they shot 39% in those 4 games in the Sun Belt tournament. One thing in favor of App State here, they can handle Norfolk State's full court pressure. Robert Jones likes to throw out this 2-2-1 extended press, trap a little bit, try to force turnovers to create offense. It's the main way Norfolk creates offense. App State has plenty of ball handlers. All 3 of those guys we mentioned can handle the ball. Norfolk kind of scores with garbage hustle plays. I think App State's apt to defend that. And guys, of course, the tipping point for me is Dustin Kearns. Fantastic coach. We think he's one of the best mid-major coaches in the country. I think he'll draw up something good. I made this -4.5, so I will be on App State -3 in the opening round. That's all we got for that one. Let's move on. Mount
Appetizer
St.
State
Mary's.
consensus, baby. Love that. Great start to the show.
Mount St. Mary's versus Texas Southern, our other 16v16 game. And Matt, I was shocked when this opened up as Texas Southern as a 2-point favorite, I believe is the opener. It's come down to 1. I even saw some pick out there, I believe. I think the Steam's got it right here. What do you think?
Yeah, no question. I like to think that, hey, we were part of the early Steam. We pounced all over the Mount. To me, it's pretty simple. This game fits right in the middle of that Venn diagram of matchup I like and favorable price. You compare it back to the game we just talked about, where I think there's a little bit of a discrepancy in quality of conference here in the opening spread. Obviously, Texas Southern's usually an outlier with all the talent they have, and they have plenty of it. I mean, Johnny Jones basically they're going to try to guys who started at Miami/Oklahoma State, and Michael Weathers, who's really the key. They have Galen Alexander, who started at Georgetown, Carl Nicholas, who used to play at Stephen F. Austin. I mean, really a laundry list of guys that have played at big-time programs and made impacts at those schools. But it's a tough matchup, man. They rely on that size and that length and that athleticism, Jim, in the SWAC to overwhelm smaller SWAC teams. The Mount is sort of an outlier by low major standards in terms of their lineup. They basically have a 5'8" jitterbug in Damian Quanqui and like the monster bigs of Nana Opoku and Mezi Offram. They go 6'9", 6'9", 6'8", 6'4 at the other 4 spots. That's gonna perturb Texas Southern's length and I think keep them off the glass. They also don't foul, Jim. The Mount is really good about not fouling, and I think the Tigers really rely on getting to the line to score efficiently.
Yeah, I think one thing I love here for the Mount is that they've played against teams that want to run all season. Like the NEC is loaded with teams that want to be in transition, and the Mount is entirely comfortable slowing those teams down. Have done it pretty successfully all season, and that's if you can keep Texas Southern out of transition, force them to execute in the half court. That's just they can't do that, especially against tricky defenses that change potentially the way Mount does under Engelstad. I'm with you. I know it's down to pick, and even Mount favored in some places, but I still lean that way. I think there's a coaching edge. I think there's a matchup edge, but yeah, Matt, we locked in early, but I would still endorse Pick'em right now for Mount St. Mary's.
And you mentioned mountain zones, correct, Matthew? That
so
was one of the.
We've seen them play zone. They actually haven't played much at all this season. I must have only watched a few games or 2 games specifically where they did use some, Engelstad threw a curveball in there. I think he'd be wise to do that again. Texas Southern is not a team I would trust executing its zone offense, especially with the way they shoot it. So yeah, I don't know if they're going to play zone here. I think that's the right play though.
Yeah, I love Mount size. They're going to make this game ugly. I mean, it's already going to be a pretty ugly game. I think the under is a great play as well as the Mount side. I think Quanqui is a really good defender, if I'm not sure. Not mistaken.
He's little.
Like, very good defender.
But I think he's like kind of that guy who can get up in your jockstrap and bother Weathers. Weathers has a 5-inch advantage of him. I think that's a pretty good matchup there.
I'll be pronunciation cop again. It's Quanqui.
Quanqui.
I want to make sure we sound like we watch Mount St. Mary's games, guys. Come on.
Yeah, we do. DCQ. That's all I need to call.
That's true. And they actually have good announcers, unlike Dan Dockich, who you can always mute and enjoy the game.
I agree. I need to see front row. Solid broadcast squad there.
Well, this is kind of a ricochet shot there at Dockich, but I love it.
Always take cheap shots at Dockich. All right. Hey, through 2 games, we're pretty much on the same side here. App State and Mount thus far. Let's move on. Wichita State versus Drake. Now we're getting into the juicy matchups here, guys. Wichita State, a slight favorite. Jim, it's a really tough call for me here, man. I like both these teams quite a bit. I love that Drake got in the tournament. I love to see them here. We talked about yesterday how Wichita State's AAC run in the regular season pretty much got them into the field. Tank Hemphill, though, has to be the key, right?
Yeah, he's supposed to play. I think DeVries has said he's good to go. He's practiced a little bit already. Now leading up, he's got a couple more days to get on point. Probably still going to have some rust. He just hasn't played in quite a while. That's a bit of a problem. But I like Drake here. I think there's a slight coaching edge. I'm pretty sure Isaac Brown's going to have a nice long career at Wichita State, but DeVries is like top 10, top 15 coaches in the country. He's just proven to be a star over and over again. Even when they lose people to injury, they bounce back and continue to play well. Drake's going to throw out that 1-2-2 press, especially with Hemphill back. He's been the point man on it. Wichita State takes great care of the ball. It's not really to force turnovers, though. It's mostly to kind of slow Wichita down, get them out of the rhythm, make them take longer possessions. I think that's an effective strategy. And then the thing I wrote about as my key factor in this is Drake's cutting. They're like one of the best cutting teams in the country. Hemphill and Garrett Sturtz off ball. They find pockets of space and they get in there. Drake, a very good passing team. Wichita, they can lose focus on defense. That is certainly their weakness. I put a clip in there of Alterique Gilbert for Wichita got beat by the same cut twice on the same possession. And he just still didn't learn his lesson. I think Drake's going to live on those cuts. So I like Drake here. It is down a little bit, but I think they win. So I guess I'm comfortable taking it all the way to pick.
Yeah, Jimmy, you mentioned that cutting as one component of their overall offensive package. The last 3 seasons, Drake is 20-8 against the spread in non-conference games. I think what you actually see is that the Valley has so many good coaches and they know each other so well that the edge of that sort of tricky offense dissipates in conference. But now you're back out of conference, and teams that don't know that, haven't played against it, haven't scouted it, prepared for it, really struggle. And I think that's a situation that really shines through here against Wichita State, a team, Jim, that you mentioned is sort of prone to lapses mentally on the defensive end. So love the Bulldogs here. I think the price is about accurate, but the strong matchup and coaching lean in March, I think it's still worth the play for me.
To be fair, Drake is also 36-23 against the spread in conference.
It's just good no matter what. That's true.
He just crushes the number. Yeah.
I just love how Drake plays. They play balls to the wall. Every single play, it's hustle on the floor. Clearly, just a well-coached team. Signs of a great coach team. I also think Darnell Brody can give Wichita State a couple issues inside. You talked about their defensive lapses, we'll say. He's huge. Wichita State clearly has played big guys before in the AAC. I think he can have a little bit of an advantage there. Also, offensively, I've seen Wichita State's offense get stagnant a lot when watching them this season. It's a lot of isolation ball with Etienne and Gilbert. They don't really get to the rim. So if those guys are missing 17-foot pull-ups, which I'm sure Drake is going to make them shoot, they could be in real trouble here. I also like Drake in this game. So a boring show maybe to not be against each other here, but we're pretty much in lockstep thus far in the first 4. Let's see what we think about this last one, though. Michigan State versus UCLA. And the Spartans guys are a 2-point favorite. KenPom actually has UCLA favored in this game. I'll say this, Matthew. I don't have a whole lot of matchup angles in this one. I just have a major gut lean to Izzo in March. Michigan State feels like they're going to win this game. Yeah. And also UCLA just hasn't been good down the stretch. They're really limping into the field here, where it feels like Michigan State, yes, they've lost a few also, but they've been playing better, plain and simple. I do lean towards Michigan State. Yeah,
I'm looking at I'm trying to glean. Jim, I know you wrote this preview for our site. UCLA has played some zone down the stretch. Once they started to have those frontline injuries, they played a much smaller, more perimeter-oriented lineup. A pretty seismic shift from the typical Mick Cronin approach, where usually a guy loves to throw size at it and to see what sticks. Izzo sort of looking in the mirror in that regard, but I think both teams don't have the rosters to play to their coach's strength. That's why you've seen the very uneven, volatile seasons for both squads, I think. And that's why I think this game is the most unpredictable of any of the first 4. I guess I lean Michigan State. I don't think the number's all that friendly. Would like to see closer to pick if I'm going to back Sparty here, Jim, but what are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, this one swung. I was able to get it at -1 early on. I believe it opened UCLA -1 at a couple places. So people definitely riding Sparty a little bit. I see Wahoo Kid mentioning in the chat the January, February, Izzo, April. I mean, maybe that matters, maybe it doesn't. I do prefer Izzo in a postseason setting. UCLA just normally, Mick Cronin especially, just normally doesn't have enough shooting to advance in March. The one thing here, Michigan State definitely vulnerable inside, not like a ton of powerful size that they've had in recent past, but UCLA's down a big man. Jalen Hill, Chris Smith got hurt early in the season, out for the year. They're basically down to Cody Riley, who is solid, but then it's him and Mac Etienne, the heralded freshman that enrolled early. It's not like a team that's engineered to dominate in the paint like most Cronin teams. So I think the fact that they can't really take advantage of that, and that Michigan State has multiple long defenders to throw at Tiger Campbell, who is the head of the UCLA Snake, they can cut that off a little bit. I lean towards Michigan State here as well, both from a number and a matchup perspective. -2 is dicey, but I would probably still lean that way.
Yeah, I know Jalen Hill, Jim, has been terrible for the Bruins, and I think you're right about him being a factor, his absence being a factor in this matchup against Sparty. Wow, a sweep, guys. Leaning all the same way or taking the same way. Wow. Very, very lockstep for the Weave today.
Groupthinky, not good. Not great.
Let's finish off the show here with a quick NIT segment. I'm pretty much going to toss this to Jim. I'm going to set it up, we'll say, with this one thought. NIT is about motivation, in my opinion. You have to want to be there to win this tournament. We've seen teams just not care about it at all. Who was the team that lost as a 1 seed? Was it Kentucky that one year? They lose it to Robert Morris.
Robert Morris, baby. Yes, sir.
As a 3 seed, they had to play a road game.
Yeah, that's just something that sticks out in my mind. It's like, if you don't want to be there, you're not going to win to go far in this tournament. So, Jim, what do you think about the NIT?
So I agree. Motivation's huge. This year, I think, is a special case. They only took 16 teams instead of 32. It's a narrow field. There are no auto bids. So the small conference teams that won their regular season did not get in. And Belmont, massive snub. Khalil Walker asked about that. Why did the NIT snub Belmont? I have no idea. I wish I knew. I think that's the kind of team that deserves to be there. They're tied for the nation lead in wins, 26. It's them and Gonzaga. Why are they not playing in a postseason tournament? That's lame. But as far as the motivation angle, all these teams have to decide to fly to Frisco, Texas, enter a quasi-bubble, continue testing, continue that rigorous COVID protocol. So to me, if the teams have decided to go into that bubble, they probably want to be there. So I'm guessing that the motivation landmine isn't as tricky this time around. But Matthew, the 3 betting favorites here, Memphis, top of the pile here. They're the highest team in KenPom that's in this tournament. They're obviously mega talented. They're playing well down the stretch. And then SLU, a team that got very hurt by COVID this season, and Ky Ole Miss, a team that you thought probably should have been in the NCAA tournament based on their resume. So Matthew, anything you're looking at there in terms of potentially a team to back is making a run?
Making a run, I mean, Memphis, the way they played down the stretch certainly makes me think they're capable of it. I do question the motivational angle, although, as you said, that could all just be a wash this year. I have a best bet or two off those, or I guess separate from those teams. Ky, any thoughts on these 3, though, before I reveal my locks for the NIT?
I kind of think Memphis or Ole Miss will win it. I don't know. I keep going back and forth with Ole Miss. Like I said, I thought they should have made the tournament, so I can't tell if they're pissed that they're left out and they're just like deflated now. I think Memphis, this is like, hey, we're going to prove that we're actually good because we are, and we didn't really show it this year. So I can kind of see Memphis rolling through the NIT this year.
Getting so close to beating Houston twice that may or may not have gotten them in the tournament as an at-large has to hurt.
Right.
Yeah, they should have counted that, Jim, as like a win. Like, just put those 2 close losses together and called it a win and gave them credit and shoved them in the tournament. But certainly rather see them than Wichita. I think they're a better team than the Shockers, even though the Shockers won that conference outright.
Wichita beat Houston once and didn't get swept by Tulsa, so I think they're more deserving.
Oh, Frank Haith, always the gift that keeps on giving. So my best bet in this, I guess, the opening round is Western Kentucky. I made them a favorite. I believe they opened as a dog to St. Mary's. And the Gales, this is one of those teams where they've had a really rough season. Randy Bennett's been cryptically hinting at the fact that he's just frustrated with this whole year in general. I think the injuries that they've amassed there have added, poured some gasoline on that fire. I think this is a team that just sort of will, wield in the first sign of adversity, and it's a bad matchup against a hyper athletic Western Kentucky team. We've seen the Gales struggle against superior size, length, and speed, and Western Kentucky has that in spades. So I would like the Tops first round if you're going to pick a first round winner here.
Yeah, Western Kentucky just played North Texas in a complete grind of an ugly, brutal game. And that's exactly what St. Mary's is going to try to turn this into. So they're comfortable with it. Also, Western Kentucky just played the Conference USA tournament in this venue. This is in Frisco, same place as the Conference USA tourney. So a little bit of familiarity for them there. I don't have a first round play I like, but I do think Davidson is solid value in the futures market. They're like 1,500 to 1, or sorry, not 1,500, plus 1,500. So 15 to 1. And they execute well. They're really well coached. I think they're going to be motivated to be here. They can score a little bit with Grady and Hyunjung Lee in the backcourt. The odds that they're at, and just the fact that they can execute offensively and are well coached, I kind of like Davidson as a value play in the futures market.
Any final thoughts on the NIT, guys? Again, I don't care about the NIT.
Real quick, we just had a couple questions. 9-Route Football asked about Boise second half against SMU. Matt, we always endorse second half bets against SMU, don't we?
We do. I actually was going to bring this up with the Wichita game. If Wichita gets down or gets up early against Drake, I would live bet Drake. Wichita's like SMU, two AAC teams with a major propensity to blow leads. So I don't really endorse live betting in general, but those are two where if you're sitting around, nothing else to do, happen to find the game trends in that direction early, maybe you log in there to that app and lock in a live wager.
Yep, very erratic. And then I saw another question come in about Toledo in the first round playing Richmond. I think that was the question. I'd probably lean towards Toledo. It seems like a team that definitely bummed it missed on its tournament, but a senior star point guard in Marion Jackson, and Richmond's banged up right now. Tough for them to be at the same level they usually are.
Surprised Richmond agreed to even be in the tournament, considering all those injuries. But
if you're on the Spiders, I'm just like, I'm done with this season. I don't know.
All right, guys, we'll finish it up. Hey, shorter show today, but I assume a normal to lengthy show tomorrow. Again, reminder, tomorrow we will be covering the Friday games of the first round of the NCAA tournament. And then on Thursday, we will be covering all the Saturday games, diving deep, every matchup, giving you picks, giving you leans, total, size, doesn't matter. Again, please subscribe to SBR Sports Picks, the YouTube channel you are watching. And, of course, hit the like button before you go. And go to sbrpicks.com/March-Madness to fully immerse yourself in the most wonderful month of the year. We will see you tomorrow at the same time, 9 a.m. Central. Till then, have a good one.